Cam Racer 1. I would have assumed, by the way, that I unlocked one of my accounts on your webcast forum.
The shit was from the dead.
When giving people the real about you, you would have known better than to try such a rookie move. I mean, really.
Young.
Listen, I let you in on a little secret about me. Yes, I know a year ago. So, if you think you are going to keep me off website in this world, everyone else, this video will self-destruct in 12 hours from now. As at that time, we shall get back to cracking on Cam Racer 1 and his inability to tune, starting with the importance of heat
saturation.
Because the shit's real. I'm going to show you a variety of engines with one common theme. I don't touch a needle in any of the clips. That's right. For those of you who are really down with this channel, I'm going to show you exactly what happens when you allow your engines to truly heat saturate. One major reason you flatline bashers can't tune your shit is because you don't understand the concept of heat saturation. Heat saturation is simply the concept of allowing the engine to fully warm up before you begin leaning it out. It sounds simple enough, but obviously it's not. Many hobbyists, old and new, struggle to understand when their engine is indeed fully heat saturated. It's understandable. They've been told to take the vehicle out, allow it to get up to 217 degrees, and then begin adjusting the carb needles. But that's flawed on multiple levels. So here's what happens. Dude either goes by some perceived temp value that plays no role whatsoever, or becomes impatient. Either way, he begins adjusting the needles before the engine is heat saturated. Allow me to explain. Here's an illustration of what's happening. Straight from the Nitro RC nerds, knocked out, cuckoo, Once an engine is started, as it runs, the internals of the engine begin to heat up. As the temperatures increase, the engine begins leaning itself out. In other words, it's starting to become optimized. So, as you can see here, there absolutely is a correlation between the engine temperature and its performance. That correlation is implicit, however. In other words, these temperature readings are made up. What's important to note is that there does become a static state where the engine no longer increases in its optimization. I liken it to getting wet. You can only get so wet. An engine can only become so optimized. At a certain point, it will stop until you do something to it. And that's when you tune that bitch. Because what happens if you tune it too early? As an example here. You might be finished leaning the engine out, but the engine's not finished leaning itself out. At that point, you might as well just start the process over. So how do you know when it's heat saturated? Certainly not by the engine's temperature. Because what they forgot to tell you, one day you might see a correlation such as this, and the next, it might be like this. But I get it. You just purchased a shiny new aluminum temp gun,
Like you were told.
and you want to put that bad boy to use. Well, you can. So while you're not concerned with the actual temperature of the engine, what you are looking for is, do the temperatures become consistent? Have they stopped climbing? Just make sure when taking the temperature of the engine, no changes were made to the vehicle, such as the clutch, the tires, the pipe, the manifold, the gear ratio, the glow plug, the fuel, the surface in which you are running. Make sure you take the temperature of the same location of the vehicle. Make sure you don't touch the infrared lens with your finger. Make sure that you are taking the temperatures consistently. In other words, after a hard pass or after a series of idling, however you want to do it. Just be careful, and if you want to get real, throw the temp gun away. I did, and trust me, I've been cracking ever since. So how do you know when it's heat saturated? All I can tell you is every engine on every vehicle is going to be different on any given day. In my experience, it's anywhere from 1 to 3 tanks, depending. Some engines take longer, some vehicles take longer. As an example, TVP design takes longer than a flat chassis design. OS engines seem to take longer than Nova Rossi, as another example. So for me to sit here and give you a explicit value on when your engine, your vehicle, is heat saturated, it's just unfair. In part 2, however, I will show you numerous vehicles and what their optimization points were from first being fired up to after a tank without touching a needle. I think many of you will find it